of course, even
Just
the
run
Meiko
it
if they want to
back?
fall back onto it. And there's no reason not to. This is the thing. So now, if I'm WE, I think the best course of action, if I'm them, is to actually just take the Maokai. I think you have to split the two picks apart. Whilst it might suck, I feel like that is probably the way that you at the very least kind of wrest some control back. And then, of course, you just find very easy to execute, engage, disengage, kind of does a little bit of everything. If you leave it to go through, okay, I guess this is also the adaptation. They self-banned the Sejuani last game, didn't they? So if they go Sejuani plus something else for Cube, then maybe, but I feel like it's a reach. I feel like this is slightly off-read from my personal opinion, and to me, now, you know, as EDG, you're probably still going Kennen and Maokai again. There's not really a reason not to, or at the very least, something very stable in the top side that's going to provide high yield team fighting results.
In the LPL, one of the most lethal combos that has developed over this last year and a half or so is the Jace Maokai, right? Like, you just get so much control around objectives, especially for the one entering second. You can get a lot of poke down before you get the entrance, and it just is so strong. Now, we do get the Rel locked in for WE, so forward engage right now is the name of the game.
Okay, so how do EDG want to
cook,
read this?
Jamada, let him cook.
Look, man, these guys ain't cooking nothing. I'm just
going for all the mounted
No, I
champions.
don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. This
I want
is like,
Hecarim. I want to get Hecarim in here. Corki's a mounted technically because he's in a copter.
All right, that's enough, Mazel. We've
Okay.
that's
Okay.
it. Your cooking privilege is gone. Yeah, I was gonna say now
No.
this is where if you're EDG, you just go Maokai, and because you see the rail, you probably go Alistar. You don't really care about anything else, and you can wait for WE to show their hands, whether it's the mid lane matchup, whether it's top side, whether it's AD here, and you just get counters across the board. Like, okay, what I will say, Sylas, high value pick, but now you get to still remove away more champions from Cube's champion pool that could cause some issues, and you're still going to find yourself with a very strong AD carry because only Tristana has been removed from the pool. So I think no matter what, EDG feel pretty comfortable here in a similar setup.
But Shanks is on his Sylas. A little bit of comfort coming out for Shanks. I love to see it. And the quickness of the pick, they know they need some confidence there in the mid lane. We do get the topside focus now, though. Not going to give Ala the Gwen. I'm trying to whittle down this pool a little bit more. It does look like we are going to save ADCs here till later. Yeah,
I suspect that'll be the case. Now, obviously Sylas, like we mentioned, pretty high value pick, right? In terms of Alistar ult, Maokai ult, very strong ultimate. But WE have to use these tools. Now, they definitely weren't afraid in game one to send some plays down to Uzi in the bottom side, but we need to see that same level of big base down there. Otherwise, if they're not trying to kind of just play balls to the walls, then I'm afraid that I feel like for WE, they kind of run into a similar situation where they might just end up being outscaled. WE throw out the respect ban over to the Ashe as the Varus's are moved away. So just a lot of long-range AD carries being taken off the board for now, as EDG realistically can kind of do a lot of different things. I feel like
there's no world we get Vayne, right? Like, just throw it, strike it out of my head right now, Jamada. There's no world.
Okay, I don't want to cope. But
just strike it out of my head, we can move on.
There's no point and click CC right now on WE. And if Hope goes Kai'Sa, Vayne is considered an okay matchup one-to-one into it. So
nah, there's no. I'm not even gonna give myself hope.
I don't want to get your hopes up, but if Uzi felt like it, it wouldn't be the worst angle in the world.
Let's freaking go, baby!
Oh my god.
I'm just saying 5-head Mazel right now. That's all I'm talking about.
Oh my god.
Oh
well,
my god. I'm sorry to blow everybody's ears out of the sky, but my god.
This does change the dynamic of how this game works. So all of a sudden, EDG now also have this hyperscaling AD carry who's going to feel really impossible to murder. I feel like if I'm WE, you have to go something ridiculous like that. You have to play Ornn, or you have to play like Malphite. You have to, or yes, Camille also. Go Camille. Lock it down, press the R key on it, and make sure that it has nowhere to go. Otherwise, if you're WE, you have no reasonable way to ever, and I mean ever, kill off this Vayne in the late stages of the game, unless you missteps. We get an Aatrox out of Cube. Okay, so very old school counter into the Scion. It has to be played through though. We've seen throughout the entire series so far that WE have kind of refused to give Cube the resources. Game 1, he took things into his own hands. Game 2, things kind of fell out of control very quickly. If you're drafting something like Aatrox, I just need to see you play towards it. But if you play towards it, you give Uzi the space to scale.
Yeah,
so I still feel like their hands are kind of tied. And for EDG, if they can make it to the mid game here with 2 items very comfortably, not that far behind, this is going to be a game where I feel like EDG are going to be able to flex their muscles a bit in the hands check department for sure.
Oh, it's going to be a great culmination here. What a way to end our day, as WE are going to be up against it. It is momentum in the favor of EDG. It is an Uzi who is feeling alive, feeling well day and night, grinding it out, figuring that this is his moment. He was already dancing all over them in game number 2 on the Ash. They banded away. He brings out his signature Vayne, but he has to make it work. It is still about the 2v2. It is still about what Hope brings to Team WE, and it's not just his namesake, it's his mechanical skill. WE are backs against the wall. They are potentially getting reverse swept at a best of 3, but this is where all the fight matters, where some home crowd advantage might just give you that energy. As we're gonna hear those dios ring, let's hear it for game 3 between WE and EDG.
Very loud, but surely we don't. Not in game 3. Not in game 3!
Level 1, let's go. The double, the triple. It's the sweet spots for Cube. It's making the difference right now. Meiko falls, and it's absolute chaos.
Oh, God.
Uzi with blood as well. He's looking for the Vayne kills here, and it's actually Ala that gets one back. They want more here. Uzi stepping forward. He's got the movement speed towards low health targets, but it's still Hope who backs them off of the wall. It is blood. It is chaos. It's everything we asked for, Jamada. Here
It's
in
a
game
straight
3.
up mosh pit in game number 3. Uzi walks away with 1 kill and an assist, and I think the other one went over to Ala. It did. Whilst on the opposite side for WE, it's Hope that also picks up a kill. So both AD carries returning back to lane with additional stats. Summoner spells, however, blown for Hope. No heal, no flash for Lwandy as well. EDG will certainly be tracking these things. I wouldn't even be surprised if Jiejie just looks for like 3 camps into bot straight away. Get this Vayne rolling. You want to get this thing ahead. It's effectively 5 very short range champions with no point and click CC. If these bits of CC connect, yes, you can try and chain CC it down, but you've got things like Meiko and you've got Jiejie as well there to peel. So WE have to be on the money with taking down Uzi and ensuring that he falls far behind. As we get a replay in, it's very common that you see things like this occur, right? Rel over the wall on the W. But the crucial thing here actually is that for some reason, Ala was channeling Q to try and interrupt the knockback. So he doesn't actually have it ready for all of the rest of the members for WE when they come in. Beyond that though, Cube found loads of sweet spots. That was good for the AoE damage. But at the end of the day, like you mentioned, Uzi getting the passive, being able to stack up and walk forward, a little bit too powerful there for WE to handle on the back ends of the trade. As we come out of that replay, and we start to see where things start to fall. Jiejie is looking for that 3 camp. He's on the red buff after blue and wolf, so don't be surprised if he looks for either an invade or an immediate gank down here. No summoners on either of those bottom laners. Heng has to cover this.
And Sejuani does have a fast clear, but the thing is, Jiejie is skipping camps. He wants to get there a little bit quicker. We got pressure from FoFo in mid lane as well. This timing from the junglers is oh so crucial. And I know we're hyping up some super high tempo in early game, but it's still about how this bot lane 2v2 really affects the rest of the map. And we've already seen a lot of gold go both ways.
Exactly, right? And not only will the 2v2 be so important, but Uzi just generally, right? Finding gold, getting towards those first couple of items. He has so many different options in terms of what he can pick up since the itemization. Vayne, definitely a champion who was freed up in terms of what they can go towards. Now, Jiejie, like we said, skipped camps. He's going to be here on the bottom side, and with a priority gained by Uzi, by Meiko, looking like they're going to get an invade, and Shanks also chunked out, which means FoFo can always be here if the skirmish breaks out. Sapling control as well will make things awkward. Do WE really want this fight? I feel like the answer has to be no. And they will just seed their blue buff, and Jiejie will steal that one away. So small win here on the first clear for Jiejie, and Heng has to find something. Meiko goes in.
Heng is right here though. Yeah, Meiko dodging out though from Lwandy. Here comes the crash down. Heng trying to get Meiko here. He does. Uzi, the next target. doesn't really have much backup there besides Jiejie able to pull WE off of it. Lwandy was getting low, but this should be a push in from WE with Heng's help.
Yeah, it will be. So a little bit overzealous from Meiko, has to be said. Feel like he anticipated Jiejie would be down here quicker, and he just wasn't. He was still on the Skull Crab, right? So a little bit of miscommunication between some of the members of EDG, but won't be the end of the world, as Uzi actually has minion dematerializer as well in his runes. I wonder what the thought process is behind that one. If it kind of gives him some damage break points on minions, perhaps, as that cannon went into the ether. D-Man did not get that. That's a cheeky -1, but either way, actually, funny we say that. I don't know if it's on live side. I'm pretty sure it is. Not seeing the runes there, Uzi. Very well timed.
As long as it doesn't have a sponsor.
As long as it doesn't have a sponsor, it typically ends up on the English live side. So yeah, interesting rune choice there for sure. He's used them all now, so see exactly what that does for him.
We see the Uzi vein, and that will be an intense focus as the game goes on, but I do want to check in on the rest of the map, right? We do get an Ala Scion, which first and foremost has been something he's been able to bring out, but in response, Cube was able to kind of get this Aatrox going. And that matchup will be very intense for later on when we get to the big team fights around the objectives that have been so crucial for both sides.
Yeah, definitely will be. Aatrox, definitely not a champion we've seen in the meta for a little while. I feel like it's been, you know, sometime from the middle of last year, perhaps, since we last really saw Aatrox be in any kind of position of power. And he still kind of does very similar things. His items have been, you know, changed quite drastically. That's one thing we should definitely track with Cube, whether he's going towards the Gore Drinker, the Eclipse. You know, there are definitely still those very similar options, but the items definitely changed in some of the stats that they give. And it kind of also just depends on what Cube's role is in this game, what he feels like it's going to be, right? Eclipse for more burst damage. FoFo should be fine. The threat is always there, of course, between Sejuani and Silas, but if he's that far away, he's always going to be alright. So yeah, Cube definitely going to be a big factor in terms of that mid-game bridge, right, for Hope. Specifically, so is Shanks and so is Heng as a duo as well. They need to be on the money. So far, it's definitely been a little bit back and forth as finally a fight breaks out.
Does indeed the Nature's Grasp from Shanks there as well as a nice fight back from FoFo. A big crucial carry from game 2 as well. And we'll run into the sapling, make it a little bit worse for the trade. But you have full movement from WE around this first dragon.
Yeah, WE here right now. And Jiejie was chunked out, just considering the idea, especially with the bottom side priority they did have, but we'll just be strayed away from for now. Summoner spells are back up for WE on the bottom side of the map, and that's definitely a big deal in terms of no stability for this bottom side, as Meiko was definitely looking for an angle, but the rally up, I can't remember what the E's called for Rel, but that little bit of burst of movement speed just keeps them away from the combo.
So I'm actually looking right now, sorry, because I was wanting to see that WE position so much around the dragon if they went for that early, but the problem is now you just have to get this kind of push back in the bot lane that has led to a movement from Ala coming down here and EDG full focusing on these early objectives.
Yeah, really interesting that Ala's come down here. It's not the first time in the series that he's done it on the first dragon, and will either look to ult back to the top side once he knows that this dragon is secured, or teleport to the wave. I feel like that's going to be the case here, so he doesn't miss too much. Maybe he holds on to it. He's going to hold on to it? I'd be very surprised. Maybe he catches the mid wave. No, he's going to ult up now. I'm not going to lie. If I was Shanks, I would have blocked that just for the funnies, but we'll just path up. And it's a cannon wave too, so he's not really going to miss that much. It's tanking the aggro now, so definitely a very solid roam just to cover from Ala. And even though Cube gets a couple of plates, what's up?
I just got the most like awesome thought in my mind. I wish Shanks stole that ulti and then also drove up towards the top side, and then we just have like Fast and Furious happening on the rift. I need that in my life, please. I need somebody. If it's Shanks, you gotta do it.
It's gonna happen.
I need a race
once this game. All right, they're gonna have a race.
But they need to be parallel. They'd be racing next to each other, not at each other. That's just a crash. It's watching two trains go at it, go head to head. I want to see a race.
I can respect that, Mazel. I like races too.
Ooh, we got a race towards this Rift Herald though, as Heng is starting it up. Ala a bit worse for wear from Cube's trade in the top side. Uzi's rocking up, and we got a 5-on-5 brewing here, Jamada.
Yeah, we do, but when Hope and Lwandy get back, they're the ones that have spent some of their gold. Heng is getting this lower and lower. bit awkward. Here's an engagement.
There it
Shanks.
is. Shanks uses it right in, but he gets taken out immediately by FoFo. You got the Prey Seeker coming in. Hope needs to join, needs to get in there, needs to do something. He is the hope of WE, but he can't do it because Uzi is showing up, and he gets a kill. Uzi, he's going for it. Another one goes down. No. That's 2, making maybe 3. No, FoFo gets that one. And the carries from EDG are alive and well, and Hope will no longer be that for WE as 2 kills go to both Uzi and FoFo.
It's a monster fight for EDG, and 2 kills go into FoFo and Uzi's back pocket. It very well could have been a quadra kill in the extended for Uzi, but FoFo picks up a couple of kill credits for himself, wants the hard work that he puts in to actually pay out. And WE, I don't actually know, did the Herald just died, right? Like, no one picked it up as far as I'm aware. Not sure who got the kill credit. We'll probably get a replay of that fight for confirmation, but...
You see what I see?
What do you see? Oh.
I see a static shiv of Vayne. We're going back. We're going back to the days of old static shiv. No, it's new static shiv, and it's a little bit scary. We'll get back to that conversation after this replay.
Yeah, we will. So, first important thing to track, who gets the Herald? Shanks dies immediately because he is not tanky enough to stand in the middle of 3 members like this, and whilst Cube does his best to get some damage into Jiejie, he flashes away. Good re-engage here from Meiko, and of course, good counter-engage too. Who gets it? So it's WE, but they just can't get to the eye without giving their life up. Lwandy tries, but it's just not enough, and Uzi finds Condemn into the flash over the wall. Meiko then buys space as well as a double knock-up, and this just means that the rest of EDG can come and collapse on top of this, as the extended trade also results in Hope's death too, and a very, I can't tell if happy or sad fan in the crowd.
I mean, every time you're seeing Uzi flash over the wall on Vayne specifically, I feel like it's going to be a joyous occasion. We also do have those first item spikes that we are kind of mentioning, and that is a nice tempo advantage for EDG, as well as Uzi having a lot of wave clear on the Vayne that typically is a little bit harder to come by. And the Dust Blade, a lot of poke from FoFo. We do have about a minute and a half till the next dragon. Push should come through the bot lane for EDG. We also got the demonic actually completed for Jiejie. So we'll get that nice little poke damage coming through from the comp of EDG next to the objective.
Yeah, just looking to diversify the damage pool of EDG, right? We saw it, I think in, was it either our first series, which is the second series of the day, where Maokai went full AP because he was the sole AP threat. So we'll see whether or not Jiejie starts to dip into more, you know, team fight based items as opposed to straight up AP. Things that kind of are a little more supportive, whether or not that will be the case. So for now, I think it's time to focus on this dragon. Spawns up 50 seconds time. Ocean will be the second for EDG if they can get it. And I think the fact that they've got a 3-0 Vayne and a 3-0 Jace likely points to me that they'll be looking to contest it, and they're already in the river, setting up vision around the objective itself.
Gotta be there preemptively, and I know I was saying the comp is very strong when you're entering a objective that's already start up or set up around, but especially when you have an advantage yourself, doesn't make it that much harder to set up in your own right. And now Jiejie hovering over this, putting saplings everywhere, making it so difficult for WE to move forward, but they decide they want to anyway. Shanks coming over the side, can't really find the distance, but Heng trying to follow up onto Meiko. He is slowing him down so much, maybe they just decide the Unbreakable does come through, and Meiko goes right back in. Here comes Uzi. He's on the flank, but he won't be spotted just yet. There he goes. He gets engaged on, tries to use the cleanse. He is taking them out, though. They're all trying to take him out. Hope wants him, but can't get him. You cannot touch Uzi Eye, and EDG will dominate yet another fight, and that's a dragon as well.
This game's over, isn't it? I think Uzi 4-4. Untouchable in these team fights.
It was over when Uzi locked in Vayne.
And I think you're right. I think it was just over when Uzi locked in Vayne. It's such a powerful pick in this position. And WE just did not have enough time to respond to it. But it felt like they set him up perfectly, didn't they? For it. All 3 melees, 4 melees effectively with the Kai'Sa locked in. A good lane matchup on top of that. And they've just not been able to do much about it. And once these skirmishes have unfolded in front of Uzi's eyes, he has had nothing but steel inside of them. And I think even though Meiko getting run down, Sapling slows 3 members, the turnaround from the Maokai ult, even though this knockup only hits on to the 1 member inside of Shanks, it then opens up for Uzi to just have very free reign. Immediately you see the front line of VDG put themselves up as a wall in front of Uzi, and whilst he almost gets burst down, it's nowhere near enough, and he picks up more kills to the benefit of himself, and WE fall further and further behind.
WE's home field advantage in their home arena far from helping them this time around. Feels like EDG have taken over the crowd and also taken over this series. They had a bit of a roughie in game number 1. They did not close out a gigantic lead that they had. An 11,000 gold swing for WE to come out in advantage, but it's been 2 back-to-back games from EDG that make you think this team is domineering a lot of these victories when they have the style of aggression that works well for them.
Absolutely. That's when they feel like they're at their best. Going forward, EDG. It was when they looked the most fun in spring as well, so exciting to see that they are willing. Oh my god. That was a lot of damage from FoFo. And yeah, I mean, that's just going to get worse, Mazel. And the aggression is going to be dogpiled on top of moments like that where poke comes through. So I just don't know where WE find any kind of reprieve with this compositional difference too, right? Like,
yeah.
The big issue is, if you find an engage on basically the other damage dealer, which is FoFo, that means that that's time not spent murdering Uzi. So I feel like, where do you even go from here? Like, your chances are maybe try and, like, create pockets of fog, hope you catch Uzi in rotation, like, ever, but how often will that happen? Hope's flash is gone. Good ultimate from Arla, and now that should just be WE forced off this Herald. Cube is trying his best to chase down Uzi here, but it's just not going to happen.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
And Rift Herald goes to EDG. Love the WE's movement, a little bit of presence there, but you still gotta know where the taxes are being paid, and it's the fact that Uzi and FoFo both have an insane amount of gold. We're getting very close to second items for them, and we also just got that first turret for Uzi in the side lane. Now another one for EDG in the mid lane.
More structure gold going over, and this is going to be more suffocation, right? Maokai J still in the game, even if Uzi's here, and we can talk about how much we are excited to see this signature pick. Jason Maokai are going to take over the map very, very quickly if there's mid lane priority to be had. And that's actually part of the power of why I don't mind Shiv here on the Vayne, right? Vayne does lack a lot of wave clear, but you pick up the Shiv here, all of a sudden, you're ahead of curve too. Shiv is just going to clear the wave and kill it. And that will secure that mid lane priority to dip into those sides of the map. So everything kind of just works together very nicely, all the way from Uzi's itemization even. So WE, again, options start to become limited. That's a very awkward dash from Cube, but at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. Tower goes down in the top side. And again, where do you even play if you're WE?
Dude, it's still just crazy to be like, what year are we in that we get an Uzi Vayne with a Alistair laning partner? Now he's looking to try to chase down Cube, give him a little bit of that medicine that Cube was trying to give him earlier, and does easily chase him down as the hunter from Uzi is gigantic. This Vayne pick has absolutely upended this series.
It has. It has. And you saw the angle, Mazel. I've got to credit you for it. And as soon as you said it, I knew it was coming as well. It just the stars aligned too perfectly. You said
it just felt right, man.
3
as soon
melee
as I saw that
champions.
Alistair lock in.
3 melee champions. You have Alistair on your side. Then the Kai'Sa gets locked in. You're like, well, that's an old school counter to the Kai'Sa is the Vayne. And Uzi saw the same angle that we did. And I think no matter where WE go at this point, as Uzi recalls and I think has enough gold for the Triforce, it's just going to be a little too much for them to handle. There it is.
It is.
2 items now, and if you kill FoFo, fantastic. Now you've got a 2-item Vayne to deal with. If you kill off Uzi, and that's a somehow, then you're probably going to get murdered by FoFo. So 15 seconds rather left on the respawn of this dragon. Herald's in the mid lane. WE being pulled apart on the map here. There's only 5 people on the bottom side. No one can respond to that Herald, so that's going to charge in slowly but surely. If EDG just sit here in front of them, WE will slowly lose out. So WE have to make a decision. It's either fight for this dragon, pray you win, or sit here, try and find. If you lose, the game's over.
That's the problem, though. You're just taking Pope because that's exactly where they want to thrive. Cube comes over the side. He got a nice little magnet sword, but it's Lwandy already gone. Shanks is trying to pick him apart, but look at Uzi. He's weaving. He's dodging. He's getting one, but it's EDG who's just slamming home this game. Hope doesn't have anything left in the tank. He's trying to stay still, but he can't do it. Cube is the last one, and that's an ace for EDG. Meiko the only one that goes down, in a quadra kill for FoFo.
The carries of EDG online. The Herald is still alive. 58 HP as it charges into the mid lane, tier 3. Third dragon goes down, and that fight was probably the last hope that WE had. There was a lot of frontline damage, I think it has to be added, that did go in to Jiejie, into Arla, but again, it's not target focus onto Uzi, onto FoFo. And by the time that, you know, WE were able to even switch targets remotely close to the carries of EDG, it is already too late. Look at the frontline damage. It's actually quite massive here from Cube. 3-4 members knocked up, actually, I think. But again, Uzi untouched. No one's killing him. And the fact that, of course, the Rail has to go in. Lwandy dies very, very quickly. Shanks next to follow. And as soon as those members are gone, Hope has none left. And Cube, as much as he put in the work in that team fight, unfortunately has nothing to show for it.
And it's so interesting, not only Uzi's main pick in the Vayne, but also just the synergies that Kai'Sa and Vayne have, right? When they were built, it was memed when Kai'Sa came out, it was just like the better Vayne, but right now Uzi's showing, now the classic is still great. That 3-stack passive is still great. The silver bolts ring true. And also the invisibility once you get the ulti going, so it feels a little bit good. Also that preemptive pounce onto Hope in the end there. Really good advantages for EDG. We do see a bit of a response there from WE with the bounty in the side lane, but Baron goes to EDG here unless a masterful contest comes out from WE, and they're going to try it. That's a double TP on the back.
They have to.
They're going to get into the fight here. Something has to go their way, but Lwandy's getting choked out here by a lot of that preemptive AP damage. You do get Meiko tanking a storm here with the Unbreakable. Does go over the wall and survives. Cube wants to chase him down. Allah's down now as well. This could be WE's fight here. Are they bringing it back as the world has ended? And WE clean 3 straight clean kills off of EDG.
They do, but look at the health bars, right? If Uzi had any way to reposition to get out the damage, he would have, and I think that would have just been lights out for WE. So whilst the World Ender in Cube does find the coupler in response, I feel like the fact that Uzi and FoFo still have the Baron buff is just going to be about enough for EDG to come back onto the map and start their sieges regardless. So a good fight for WE, but again, scattered because they were defending the Baron, right? So I will await cautiously with my breath held. As you can see, Meiko, Arla just buying space, ensuring Heng can't get into the pit. Ultimate was blown quite early as well from Meiko, which is why he gets chunked down to the point it starts to run out towards the end. And of course, Arla, all the face tanking that he does, eventually gives his life over. Jiejie, definitely a little bit indecisive, perhaps, with FoFo and Uzi on whether or not they wanted to actually turn that fight around. Ends up giving his life because of that indecision. WE, I guess they strip away a couple of bits of gold, right? They are actually in a negative power play, EDG, technically, right? So that's 1,500 gold that went into the pockets, at least, of the WE members off the back of that fight. But how much will it mean, really, as now the siege starts to be set up here for EDG?
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be any relenting of the pressure here at all. This is going to be full aggression from EDG, and they're looking at a tier 2 inside lane right now in top side. Get it back from Allah. Not going to be completed there as they realize WE is probably coming back to respond to their push. This is an inhib tower under threat in top side that is quickly going down for EDG.
Yep, big pace in this game, much like game number 2. WE, they have to find an engage. Has to be onto Uzi, but he's got summoner spells. Lwandy gets one shot when he goes in, don't forget, so he has to make the CC work. Allah.
That's a bit overextended. They don't have that big tool to counter engage if they do want to go for it. WE have an option, but the inhib goes down now, and EDG might look towards mid lane to get another inhib and put a lot of pressure on WE's base.
Certainly will. 2 inhibitors in the space of 1 siege. They hit the base, and it took under 60 seconds to get those results, and now, in under 60 seconds, the soul was worn up, the Hextech soul no less. And it's the best soul to get when you're snowballing, and if EDG end up with that soul, I feel like WE are just out of it. There's no way you can stand up to the combat power.
Uzi's just got third item for Uzi.
As well. And so did FoFo. And Cyrilda's grudge.
Pretty impressive stuff. You also got the Jack Show completed for Alda, who will not be left out in the dust. But it is redeploys on bottom side, and all positioning matters here from here on out with this vision, Jamada.
Powerful position EDG are in. And for me, Mazel, WE, I feel like their window has passed. So they are kind of, you know, they're here because they have to be. But I feel like
so they won't get fined.
They're here so they won't get fined. You know why I'm here. They have to find Uzi, though. They've not been able to do it so far. Lwandy's on an angle, but look at the base.
They are stuck in a pickle here, a catch-22, if you will. They've got to find the engage. They do. Look at the back line. Hope has found it. Maybe the killer instinct. He gets locked down. Uzi, he's dodging everything. He's holding off the line, and he's still alive. He'll finally go down, but FoFo's on the back end to slam down the hammer one last time. TP into the base, and that's signaling the end of this series for EDG. They will triumphantly destroy WE in back-to-back-to-back games. Yes, I said 3 because they should have won game 1, and they will holistically handle Team WE off into the night.
Very, very strong and confident back end of this series for EDG. In the games that they won, both under 25 minutes, setting a very similar tempo to this game number 3 that they did in game number 2, and the Uzi pick comes out, especially from him in the vein.